Happy 311 Day, guys.
Happy 311 Day.
I've been at KROQ for 15 years, and I've never not spent a 311 Day either with you guys or around you guys or doing something 311-ish. And I was thinking about it last night to think that this started in your basement 3 decades ago is a little bit mind-blowing. And today we're celebrating the 19th official 311 Day. So what I've taken from it recently is I think community is so important to feel like you belong somewhere, you're part of something, because I think it can make or break a person. Just to know that you're surrounded by kindred spirits who support you and you just feel like good in your skin. And the community that 311 has created is massive. So at this point, especially coming off the cruise, tell me about the 311 community, how you protect it, how it makes you feel. Yeah,
I mean, for me, 311 Day, especially on a kind of an off year like this that we're not performing, it's like a day of gratitude to just think about something that started just for fun and as a hobby, just 5 friends making music, and then it's turned into, like you said, a community. And also just coming off the cruise, and just my favorite thing to do on the cruise was to sit behind this like one-way glass and look down at the deck and just see all the hugging and smiling and high-fiving.
Dancing and drinking.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fun to have that kind of bird's eye view of our audience and watching them have fun with other musicians.
And that's what's nice about Enlarged Show Detail Part 3 is that it's documenting, it's more focusing on the community, which really, it kind of existed before, but now the words have come that people can explain what our band has meant to them and what the community, it's bigger than a band. So it's a special day.
Do you ever doubt, I think that the 5 of you, it was no accident that you all ended up together. Do you believe in fateful things like that this is exactly what you're supposed to be doing with this group of guys?
I do. I mean, I feel like we stumbled on the perfect lineup for our band, and that we should take care of it. It's bigger than we could be separately, and it's a special thing.
Relationships are not easy. Just a relationship with one other person in your life is extremely challenging, whether it's a lover or a friend or somebody that you work with. And 3 decades later, you're still going so strong. What is it that works? Is it working on communication, or is it just come naturally?
The reason why it's lasted so long is because it works, obviously, and we've had those ups and downs, and you've got to water the garden for sure. And I think we got really good at that when we were working with Bob Rock. I think those albums, working with him, he improved our communication in our circle.
If he could keep Metallica together, then
yeah,
he really
right?
We're easy.
Right?
We're easy in comparison, and we needed him at that time. And I give him a lot of credit for that. We put in the work too, but he was the one that was like, he sat us down and kind of let us know how important this whole thing is.
And obviously, it stayed with you. This is something personally I wanted to ask you. How has being in this band influenced you as parents? Because that is, just dealing with the world that you guys are in alone is so much responsibility, but now you have a family on top of that, which is another time-consuming, emotion-consuming responsibility. So how has it influenced your parenting?
Well, I think we people say about our band, you guys are so positive, and I'm like, yes, but the lyrics and stuff, it's about the struggle to be positive and to have a more optimistic outlook and look on the bright side. And that is certainly, those are life skills that we're teaching our kids, acknowledging feelings and, self-advocating and, just trying to look on the bright side, because, humans have kind of a negativity bias where we always want more, and that's why we're so successful as a species, because we're never satisfied. But that can also go crazy and cause depression, and so 311 is about the struggle to be more positive, and so far it's working out, and we definitely have imparted that on our kids, I'd like to think.
So is pre-gaming, was it you that said that pre-gaming is watching Enlarge to Show Detail 1 and 2 before 311 Day? It's kind of a rite of passage. And let's talk about number 1. Right off the bat, you say really what you want as a band is to have underground success. I think you say that pretty early on. You can check that off the list. But when you rewatch it, do you rewatch it?
I haven't seen it in forever.
You are something else. Like he is in the rarest of forms, because when I've always for some reason considered you like the not quieter one, but not the naked dancing one.
Yeah, it's a rare moment.
But he's the chattiest one of us all, for sure. So that's why
I can be.
It's the greatest.
Yeah, I can be taken to those places pretty easy if I'm egged on. Although I'm not really susceptible to peer pressure. I've got to be in the right place.
So they asked the guys to describe you. You each describe each other in a few words.
That was great.
For you, he called you rhythmic, lover, slacker, pot, and poet. Do you relate to any of those things still?
I remember cheeseburger. I remember S.A. saying cheeseburger.
He did say cheeseburger.
Right?
He did say cheeseburger.
And I thought that was hilarious.
But it was pot, poet, lover, rhythmic, and
I sound like I'm in the Chili Peppers.
Slacker.
That's exactly all I've ever wanted.
But do you relate to that guy still? The guy like that was in that video?
Yeah, a ton. Although I'm definitely different. You got to grow up. Especially with having kids. I remember playing with the band the first time after Falcon was born, my eldest son, and how like every note was amazing. Like every little nuance that we were all doing together as a group, I could hear all the years. To reflect and come back and have that moment, with our family, just getting started with it. I think 2 weeks later, we were in the room together making music, and it was just heaven.
You could still see the gratitude in your face just when you talk about it, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, and you wouldn't see that in the younger version of me. Like I was just kind of, on a tear.
Well, no, everybody was chugging not just bottels of Jack Daniels, but like the biggest bottle that you could buy anywhere. It's like the size of your head.
That's the David Lee Roth size.
Passing it around the bus, but you could also tell that you've been through all the stages and you've done it all. You had the good time.
Yeah, totally. And we weren't all about having the good time like that. That was just kind of getting all that excitement out. Yeah, it was just enjoying it while it was in that point. But even on those nights, I would be like the first guy going to sleep, because I was wanted to be ready for the next day. And it's a curse of mine that I wake up so early. So even if I stay up late, I'm going to be up at 8 a.m.
Man, that sucks when your body just betrays you and is like, guess what? You're getting up whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
I know.
And that's helped me last longer. If I was able to create the debauchery that's in my head and physically go through it, I wouldn't have lasted that long. So I need to sleep, and I can't drink that much. So it's made me last. And we've taken care of each other in those ways where it's like, hey, you're messing up. Let's get it right. Let's make this last. Let's make this last as long as we can. This isn't just about us. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's
You're
about
respectful
us.
And you take care of it. And Nick, and you talk about, and I think it's 1 or 2, you talk about how you would look at Red Rocks and look at that venue and be like, one day we're going to rock this place, which you have so many times. What else is left on the 311 bucket list? I mean, you've created an insanely cool world for yourselves where you can exist forever and just kind of enjoy the fruits of your labor. What's left?
Well, one day we'd like to have our own movie in theaters.
Which brings us to Enlarge to Show Detail number 3. How is this one different than the other two, with aside from the fact that everybody's grown up a little bit, maybe no milk chugging?
Well,
your favorite part?
I'm fascinated by it.
It was a human experiment.
Well, no, because people are not only on
process
the, on
that much
the
milk
buses,
fat.
but like
that's why everyone barfs.
At your shows, they're showing up with gallons of milk and just like, hey, watch this, and then just puking into like wherever they can. So
until they start puking on each other, and there's that scene where they're playing in your face, and it feels so good, and they're actually barfing on each other.
I had to look away because I got a little queasy, but maybe we should bring that back. But no, I digress. Okay, so how is this one different?
Well, I'd say there's a lot of heart in it to hear from the fans of what the community means to them. I mean, there's a lot of high energy music. There's behind the scenes funniness as well, but the heart of like what people have found through our band and the community that's a special thing.
Just like you said, Nicole, you spent the last 19 years on this day hanging out with us one way or the other.
Yeah.
The stories that the fans have are similar, a range, and that's the heart that is in Larger Show Detail 3.
This is I don't even know if you're going to remember this. Years and years ago, I was going to a wedding in Vegas, and I wanted to go see you guys at the House of Blues, I think. And something happened like a couple of days before where I had like credit card fraud and I had no money, no nothing. And I think I tweeted about it, and you reached out to me to make sure that I could go. That's so cool when a band that you love does that. And I've always known that you're good guys because your management, from the top to the bottom, all of you are class acts. But little things like that, the fans in the 311 community feel seen by you. And that is so important, to feel like somebody can see you and they feel like that your music somehow or another sees them or touches them in a way that they feel like everything's cool.
Yeah, we've heard from a lot of people that, not only the way the band members interact with the fans, but then it kind of spreads out, and the way our crew members treat each other and treat other people. You know what I mean? Like we leave people with a pretty good feeling. That's something
My 2-year-old's first backstage pass is 311 from that other show that you just played. It's so cool.
That's great.
Do you, not every fan is, like, there's some fans that are slightly cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So do you have any fun stories, like maybe one person that might have gone too far? Like, have you ever gone home and...
one.
Oh, tell me.
So we had just played...
the host of 100 possible stories.
This was like 96, and we had just played in Irvine, and I had my own car, and some fans had followed me home from Irvine to Laurel Canyon, followed me home, and I
Did you know you're being tailed?
I didn't notice.
Okay.
I didn't. I figured this all out later, and then the next day, there was people sitting outside our collective. Me and Tim and Chad lived together at that time, and they were sitting out front of the house, and there was just like a car full of people, and they were kind of like crouching down, and then I guess what happened is one of them went to the door and just knocked and said, "Hey," Chad's girlfriend answered the door. "Hey, is Chad here?" And she just thought that he was one of our friends. He looked like someone we would hang out with. And
it was a guy.
It was a guy.
Oh, my God.
And so she's like, "Yeah, he's upstairs. Come on upstairs," and like
grab anything you want.
Walks him upstairs. Chad gets out of the shower.
This guy is, by the way, crapping his pants probably at this point.
Chad walks out in just a towel and wet hair, and the guy was like, "Hey man, you want to smoke?"
What? Please tell me Chad said yes.
And Chad was like,
That's so
I don't remember if they smoked or not, but he was very freaked out.
Did he call the cops?
No,
No, because the 311 guy would never call the cops. He'd be like, what? No, thanks, but no thanks. What about you, Peanut?
God, that's so funny.
Are you guys able to go places and remain relatively? Yeah. So you're able to go to a movie without getting mobbed or anything?
Yeah, I think we have that just
not
right
tonight.
level.
Tonight's going to be a little different, but yeah, usually. What happens in town usually, if people know who I am, if I'm ordering a sandwich, say I'm ordering a sandwich, the guys will come out from behind the counter and be like, "Hey man, I love you guys."
Does that still
and then
feel
go back,
so
"Yeah, it's so
good,
cool."
though?
I'm like, "Oh man, like thanks. Thanks for feeding me."
There are artists that I know that get really pissy about that and they need their security, but all these people want to do is give you love. Like, why would anybody ever not just... Maybe there are some days that you're like, I'd rather not, but people just want to love on you.
Yeah, you'll never regret being nice to someone. I mean, just in general, and that's kind of in the fabric of our band too. Like, it's easy. It doesn't cost anything. You'll feel better. That will spread around. And then Like, try that on for size. Instead of complaining about everything that gets in your way, just let it wash over you and look for the next positive thing to harp on.
I complained about something on Twitter once, and it was not even a complaint. It was just me being like, it's just like a little sarcastic ass, you know? And some guy wrote me back. He's like, I'm really disappointed. I thought you were a 311 fan. Like, why are you talking like that? And I was like, I felt so terrible about myself. I was like, I took like a Twitter break. I'm like, I'm ashamed of myself.
But that's to Nick's point too. Like, we're not just a bunch of, staring at the sun like, hey, everything's great, everything's gonna be fine.
You're human.
Yeah, it's a fight, but we're gonna fight that side of it. We're gonna fight towards the light side of it. Yeah.
Before we wrap things up, there's a few things we need to talk about, but you tour a lot and it's got to be exhausting, but there's an art to touring. So what is it? What is the key to staying on the road and still having a family and not going crazy, and the stamina of it all?
We got to have a break in the middle, hang out with the kids.
Okay.
So it's not totally absentee fathering going on in our case.
Okay.
Can't do more than 3 shows in a row at this point.
Okay.
Drink a lot of water.
Okay.
Stay motivated.
Yeah, I mean, I think even though we do have to leave in the summer, when we're home, we're really home with the kids. You know what I mean? We're very present.
I know you produce music for your daughter because I've heard some of it. It's actually really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was just on a unplanned lark. It wasn't like this master plan of trying to...
No, but it's so cool that you have that relationship where you just, I don't know, I loved that moment when you posted that. That was cool.
Well, I had parents that encouraged me and bought me instruments and got me lessons and everything that I wanted to do. So definitely want to pass that on. But, regarding touring, we just decided at one point that we're going to be a touring band first, because that's something that we can really control, and that's being about grassroots. So it's not about whether radio has embraced our last song or not. It's like we took a cue from like the Grateful Dead and people that put live playing first. And once we made that switch, then it just, everything felt very doable because we're in control of our own careers. So that's why we tour every summer, and then in the spring we have our special events, which one year will be 311 Day and the next year is the cruise. And it's just a very good rhythm for us. It's very maintainable.
That's what it is. You found your groove.
Yeah.
And you build and nurture this community. It all goes back to this community, and they will coexist with you for the rest of their lives. It's pretty damn great. So you have the summer tour. Do we have a new album?
We have a new album.
We have a new album. Do we have a new song soon yet?
There's lots of songs.
What do you want to tell me? How about I don't ask and you just tell me what you can so that I know what I can look forward to?
I think what we kind of started on the last album was this very eclectic grouping of songs, where some of the songs were going to be classic 311, which is the heavy riffs and the harmonies and some rapping, and then other songs will sound like nothing you've ever heard from before
I'm
us.
intrigued.
You know what I mean? So that's we kind of started that on Mosaic, and now we've continued that with some that are just super classic and some that are super modern departures, because people love both sides. There's people in the band that love more one side or the other. There's fans that love more of the classic or more of the new. So we're doing both, and there's just been morale has been high, creativity has been very running rampant, and so it's like lightning in a bottle. We want to capture it, so that's why we're back with another new album only 2 years after. So that's pretty fast for us, and we got a lot of songs, and now we just got to mix them and finish them and decide on a single and all that stuff. But we're going to get it done for summer tour.
And tonight we're going to a movie.
Yeah.
So Enlarge the Show Detail 3 is out for one night only. I think it's 240 theaters. And then when will fans be able to get it after tonight?
Don't know. We got to work that out.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, but for now it's just 311incinemas.com to find where you can see it tonight.
This is so cool.
Be the kid on your block.
I'm
that
so
saw
excited.
it in the theater.
One other thing, when I was watching the first documentary, I think was that when you were in your techno phase? There was like a techno. Were you in a techno phase? Am I wrong?
I mean, I'm
Isn't
all over
everybody
the
at
place,
some
so-
point?
Nick likes dance music. Nick's always liked dance music.
Yes, I do.
And progressive dance music at that.
I gotta say, guys, if what we were talking about earlier is true, like we only have like 30,000 days on Earth. If we live to 80 years old, that's not a lot of days. It's not even in the millions. I would say that yours have been very well spent, and being a fan of 311 is a highlight of my life and my career. So before I cry, happy 311 Day.
Happy
Thank you so
311 Day.
much.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Thanks for having us.